We've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, high stakes, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this fall. Love, Keeneland.
And a good Friday night, everybody. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. Jeremy Plonk here from Horse Player Now. Great to have you on board. Over the next half hour or so, we are going to preview day 12 of 17 of the fall meet at Keeneland. Big Saturday card lined up. We've got a pick six carryover, $37,088. So some extra juice, and the pick six includes not one but two stakes races for the 3-year-olds. Graded Stakes Company, the Raven Run will be the feature in the ninth. The Perryville will go as the co-feature. Grade 3 there in the Perryville for the Colts will be race number 6. Let's talk a little bit about what happened today at Keeneland, and we'll get you set up for tomorrow's card. Forecast looking great for tomorrow. High temp, 84 degrees in the forecast. They say the record high in Lexington for this date for October 18th is 87. So pushing an all-time record high for this late in the season in October, but should be fast and very firm for the racing conditions. As for today at Keeneland, we had a couple Breeders' Cup, in fact, 3 Breeders' Cup horses, prospects working at Keeneland before heading out to Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Now just 2 weeks away, 2 weeks from today, the Breeders' Cup. So these workouts 2 weeks out are really the key final workout. And then there'll be one more maintenance work the week before the Breeders' Cup. And those ones get the most attention because the media is all gathered and it's closer to the event. But this is the serious work. This is the one that you want to be your best. On the West Coast, horses like Journalism were in action working today. Here at Keeneland, we had a trio of workers. Mulligan, the beaten favorite in last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint, was working for Rudy Brisset. 5 furlongs in a minute and 2/5 today for Mulligan. Let's knock on wood. He's headed out to Del Mar for a chance at redemption in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. She Feels Pretty and Rebel Red, 2 turfers for Cherie DeVoe, were working today as well. She Feels Pretty worked in company, half mile and 48. Rave reviews on that one as she gears up towards the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And Rebel Red, horse who will go long on the turf, Breeders' Cup Turf prospect there for Cherie, worked a half mile in 48 and 4. So those were the 3 main Breeders' Cup workers today on Friday at Keeneland. I'm sure we'll have more over the weekend. So this is a big weekend for those horses preparing towards the Breeders' Cup. Today, the big story going into the card was the carryover, $249,000 in the early pick 5. The public sent it in, $1.9 million bet into the early pick 5 pool. It was another doozy, $9,823 to return if you hit those first 5 on the program. Funny thing is all the attention was on the early pick 5. It was the late pick 5 that even paid more, $15,268 the payoff in the late pick 5 today. So between the 2 pick 5s, over $25,000 in returns today. And again, $1.9 million of new money bet into just the early pick 5 on its own. We had a $14 winner. That felt good, but we couldn't get anything else to go around it throughout the card. We had 4 second-place finishes, our 2 key plays of the day at the end of the card. The 2 Mike Makers both ran well, but ran second, just nosed in the finale. More distant second in the 8th race on the card, but certainly some good efforts from the horses we had today at Keeneland. But 4 second-place finishes, we'll want to get over the hump of that. Getting a 2nd, 3rd, 4th winner on the card if we can. Irad Ortiz rode 3 winners today. He has really taken a hold of the leading jockey standings. Note, Flavien Prat's been away all week riding in New York. He's not named on a horse back at Keeneland until the 24th, which is next Friday. So Flavien Prat, spring meet leading jockey here at Keeneland, pretty much conceding that, obviously, and going to leave things up to the Ortiz brothers and Gaffleone and Saez to duke it out here. 2 wins today for Luan Machado and Francisco Arrieta with a riding double. I don't think I've said that before. So big day for Arrieta, good day for Machado as well, getting those 2 victories. Second day in a row that no trainer had a double. So I think we had 9 different races on Thursday, 9 different trainers, 10 today, 10 different trainers as we get into the weekend. Good weekend of racing here at Keeneland, as we mentioned. 2 stakes coming up on Saturday. Sunday will be the Dowager Stakes. So we've got 3 stakes to get after here in the next 2 days of racing. Let's talk about this Saturday card now and give you the snapshot of the program, how things are going to line up here on a 10-race program for Saturday. We'll start things off with the early pick five. No carryover in the pick fives on this particular card. Pick five starts in race number 1. We'll have the late pick five starting in race number 6. The early pick 4 starts in the second race. Then the late pick 4 will be races 7 through 10. My key plays on the card, races 2, 4, and 8. We'll talk about those as we go through and handicap the individual races. Pick 6 begins in race number 5. And again, the carryover, $37,088. So $37,000 in the pick 6 carryover. The Keeneland Turf Pick 3 starts back in race number 5 as well. So key race for some multi-race bettors for sure will be the 5th race with the Pick 6 and the Turf Pick 3 starting. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 races also include races 8 and 10. So 5, 8, and 10 will be the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. 2 stakes races on the card. Again, both main track, both 7 furlongs, both for 3-year-olds. The Grade 3 Perryville will be race number 6 starting the late Pick 5. And the featured Grade 2 Raven Run for the 3-year-old fillies. That will be race number 9. Bit of news out of the Perryville Stakes. Scott Hazelton with the news today that gaming will scratch out of the Perryville. So one of the Bob Baffert trainees will not make the trip here. We will not see gaming in the Perryville Stakes coming up on Saturday. Let's get to handicapping now. Race number 1, first up on this 10-race program. And as we get into the handicapper selectors box, I want to remind you that you can go to Keeneland.com and hit on the expert handicappers page and go to the consensus grid. And if you go to the consensus grid, you'll get all of our picks. Easy print function there if you like to print things out. I'm going with number 1, Play the Trumpet in the opener. Speed on the rail here, I think, can be pretty handy. Second start off the layoff. Tyler Gaffleone aboard this one. 4-1 in the morning line on Play the Trumpet. You want to be up near the lead in these mid-level claiming races. You know, this is pretty upper level at $40,000. At the $30,000 to $50,000 claiming level, the average winner in fall meet sprint is just a half length off the lead. So these races are fairly formful. 7-2, the winning average winning price, a little bit lower than that 9-2 average you expect. So these races are, duped out pretty good by the public here at 4-1. I'll take the one, Play the Trumpet, inside speed. We'll try to go to wire off the effort probably last time at Churchill going towards the front. I've got it 1, 5, 6, and 8. As for the other handicappers, the 5 and 8 are the other top choices in here. Tom agrees with me with the 1, but Scott's going with the 5, Magnolia Midnight, who's my second choice. And Cape Trafalgar, the 8, is Kim's choice in here. That's my 4th choice. I've got it 1, 5, 6, and 8 the way I line them up in this particular spot. Hopefully we can get a fair price underneath there if you're looking to the exactas. But I think those are pretty logical horses. Maybe just a straight win bet on Play the Trumpet. We can get something close to that 4-1. If you're playing the early pick 5, I think you probably get a little coverage in here. I don't think this is a lead pipe single type horse. I think there are some other good options in here. Again, Magnolia Midnight, plenty of early speed from that one as well. This race should have some, contested splits to it. The 8, Cape Trafalgar's fast. The 6, Indy Magic, maybe can sit a little bit. Maybe the 6 benefits most from this being a fairly contentious pace. Indy Magic, the 6, get Luis Saez to ride. Good 7 furlong, the best 7 furlong jockey statistically here at Keeneland. So maybe the 6, one to consider in there, at least a split in the exactas, key the 6 in second and figure one of the speeds holds, 6 closes along, maybe run second in there. One way to look at it. Let's go to the second race on the card on this Saturday program. We're going to get to my first of 3 key plays, and we're going to start here in race number 2 as the pick 4 opens at 1.16 miles. These are 2-year-old maiden special weights going long here on the main track. Favorites have done very well in these races, 26 of 56 in 2-year-old maiden specials going long. Don't expect massive prices in these kind of races, but number 10, Project Ace, is 6-1 in the morning line, and one I'm going to get after here in this particular spot. I really like the 10 in here, and I like the 4, Flat Rock Road. So these 2 are the ones I'm really going to be leaning on in here. Flat Rock Road, trained by Will Walden. We'll talk about him in a second. The 10, Project Ace, for trainer Dale Romans. Both come off 1 start at Churchill Downs, both third-place finishes. Should fit well here. Stretch out, sprint the route. There's really no favoritism for horses in these 2-year-old route races, whether they went short or long last time. It's pretty much even Steven throughout the 56 races we have in the database. So horses stretching out do just as well as those who have already routed. Don't worry about that so much. But Project Ace, the 10, is going to be my top choice in here. Dale Romans, the trainer, isn't at the high life of his career, right? I mean, we remember Dale back in the 2010s, the Shacklefords, and had some really big years. I mean, he's still got a very effective stable. But when you think about Dale at Keeneland and where his wheelhouse is. A lot of people wouldn't know this, but his success has been with these 2-year-old maiden routers. He's had horses who can really go here. 6 wins in the 2-year-old maiden special weight routes for Dale Romans on the dirt here in the dirt era back at Keeneland. 5 of them came via Churchill Downs preps like this. 4 of them going sprint the route like Project Ace also tries. This is where Dale's best horses are aimed. Keeneland in the fall going long amongst his 2-year-olds. Project Ace, I think, is going to have a good shot in here. Son of War of Will, very versatile. Preakness winner War of Will. And, of course, he won a grade 1 here on the turf at Keeneland. But Project Ace is one I really like. The 4 Flat Rock Road I also like quite a bit because of trainer Will Walden. He has just been absolutely unbelievable with his 2-year-olds last fall and this fall. He had the winner for us today that had the nice price. He's had 2 or 3 horses already this meet at 30-1 plus that have hit the board in some of these 2-year-old races. His 2-year-olds all fire. So Flat Rock Road, even coming out of a maiden claiming and stepping up in class, I think this horse is well met and will be live. You get John Velasquez to ride 10-1 in the morning line on Flat Rock Road. You just can't overlook these Will Walden 2-year-olds, no matter what the price they are running. This horse, I think, is going to hit the board. I like Project Ace a lot. I like the 4 a lot. So, 10-4 in the top 2 slots. We're going to try to get some other horses mixed in. But this is a great try-super kind of race with a field of 12 in here. And again, 2 horses at prices that we feel really, really good about in here. So I've got it 10-4, 11, and 1, the way I'm lining it up as the horses that I'm really keyed in on here in race number 2. The 11 is Quarry, Tyler Gaffleone riding here for Tom Drury. This one comes off a similar race at Churchill. Good third that day, just under 8-5, well bet in that particular spot. Another one by War of Will. And the 1 Outlaw Empire, another one from Churchill, coming off a good race for Brett Calhoun. Should be speed on the inside. We'll see how far this one goes. Of those 56 races we've seen in the past, average winners a length and 3/4 off the lead after the opening half mile. 11 of the 56 led. So it's not necessarily a place you wire, but only 9 winners close more than 3 lengths. So that whole area right in there to like a length to 3 lengths off the lead, you kind of want to be pressing the pace. Outlaw Empire might be setting the pace. We'll see who else might want to go in here in terms of the speed, because you do have quite a few horses stretching out from sprint to route. But I think if you can get a fair position in here, a couple lengths off the lead, 1.5 to 2.5 lengths off the lead, you'll be sitting in the perfect spot. Let's see what kind of trip we can get. 10-4, though, we're going to try to mix and match them as best we can in all of the exotics. Kim's also taking a 10 Project Ace, the Romans horse. Tom's got Will Walden's horse in here, the 4 Flat Rock Road. This is the way we're going to attack this one. Number 3, Maximus Prime, top choice in here for Scott, coming out of the Iroquois Stakes, making a drop in class back into the maidens. This horse was second in the spring meet here in a baby dash, Maximus Prime, when trained by Larry Demerit. Now with the Anthony Mitchell barn. I believe Demerit has retired since the end of that Keeneland meet in the spring. So let's move on now to race number 3 on the program here at Keeneland. Race number 3 is a 6 furlong maiden special weight for the 2-year-olds. And this 2-year-old race has another good size field in here, full field of 12. And I think there's some pretty good options in this particular race. Race number 3 doesn't start any of the new exotic wagers. When we talk about these maiden special weights in the fall for the 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs, first-time starters really have a strong record in these races. I have 61 of them in the database that we have at Keeneland.com, free for you to download. If you go to Keeneland.com and database, you'll find that. 61 races for these 2-year-old 6 furlong maiden specials, 31 of them first-time starters. So over half of the winners have been first-time starters. Otherwise, prepping at Churchill's taking care of a quarter of the other winners, and the rest are kind of a smattering of horses from New York and other places. But first-time starters in Churchill, the way you want to look in these races. I thought number 7, Grand Slam of the experienced horses, was the one that interested me the most. Grand Slam is the 9-5 morning line favorite. I was kind of surprised this horse was going to be favored, but after reviewing the other first-time starters, I'm not sure where the public's going to go in terms of the money in here. So Nick probably has it right with the morning line favorite of Grand Slam. John Service, the Smarty Jones fame, is the trainer here. This horse based out of some connections from Philadelphia ownership group, but they've run in Kentucky in both starts so far, Ellis Park and at Churchill Downs. 2 good efforts. A horse that beat him in the debut, or the horse that beat her in the debut, Glam Slam for Brad Cox, has come back to win a Churchill allowance race by 4 lengths in the next start. So good company lines. Number 7, Glam Slam. And this horse ran on September 11th at Churchill on a day when there were split divisions of the same 6 furlong maiden special. The division Glam Slam comes out of ran 0.31 seconds, so probably almost 2 full lengths faster than the other split division. Glam Slam, top choice in here amongst the horses who ran. Now, as for some of the others to consider in this third race, don't want to just settle in on the 9-5. Number 3, Naughty by Nature, first-time starter. I think you want to keep an eye on here. Really well-bred, $450,000, daughter of Into Mischief. The Damn Moonshine Memory, she was a good runner. She won the Chandelier Stakes, the Del Mar Debutante. She was a really good one on the West Coast. So this should be a win early prospect. I know Rusty Arnold's not one to have 2-year-olds hopping and popping, but I think Naughty by Nature on pedigree certainly bred to be win early, and the workouts back in September working a bullet 46 and change from the gate here at Keeneland. The first-time starters, number 3, Naughty by Nature, certainly the most interesting to me. Number 4, Private Debbie, you better respect this one, $300,000 daughter of Army Mule. Steve Asmussen trains. He's won 6 of these fall maiden specials for 2-year-olds. That's second most to any trainer. Brad Cox has 7, the most. Asmussen had another first-time starter win on the card today on Friday. His horses are really firing here as we get into week 3 of this meet and really trending the right direction. Private Debbie, the 4, must be respected in this spot. 7, 3, 4, 5, all horses that I've got some interest in, as well as the 11. There's some good pedigree there as well. So there's a lot to look at in this particular spot. I think Glam Slam is the one to beat in here, though, with the experience. But again, with the first-time starters winning half of these races, don't be shy about taking a shot at one. Watch the horses in the paddock. Watch the horses in the warm-up. Check the tote board. Listen to the comments, any kind of trainer interviews, anything you can get. Any kind of information you can glean in race 3 is going to be very helpful because there are several really well-bred first-time starters who might be able to run in here. Let's figure out which one you want to work with. But number 7, Glam Slam, is going to be my pick on paper here. In a race where I think you want to stay pretty open-minded in race number 3, there are some good options to attack. Now, let's move on to race number 4. Race number 4 is an allowance at 1 1/16. First level allowance here. These are older horses, mostly 3-year-olds in this particular spot. 3-year-olds and up are the designation for this race. We've had 42 first level route allowances in the fall meet at Churchill or at Keeneland here in the fall. Average winner 6-1. Favorites underperformed just a little at 16 for 42. So these are good betting races, higher than average payoff and a little bit less than average in terms of the winning favorites. Churchill Downs preppers again have done exceptionally well, winning 22 of the 42. No other circuits produce more than 5. You get some surface changes in these kind of races, but statistically, in these first level allowance races in the fall, horses coming out of dirt races have won 35 of the 42. So the surface changers really haven't had a lot of success in these particular spots. Number 4, Necessity, is going to be my top choice in here. Norm Cassie trains. We talked about it earlier in the week. At the beginning of the week, we said week 3 trainers who have had some success here in the past. Look for Mike Maker, look for Rudy Brisset, look for Norm Cassie. We've seen some of that success from Maker already this week. The Brissets haven't really fired the way I thought they might, but certainly Norm Cassie would be one to keep an eye on here. I think Necessity is well placed. When you have success week 3 in the meet, you're kind of saving some horses for when it gets a little more blue collar and a little more Kentucky and a little easier competition than what we see during Fall Stars weekend and week number 2. I think Cassie's patient with this one. Irad Ortiz rides Necessity. That kind of looks like go time to me. This is a filly in the Honeybee in the spring. She was sunny in there, running 4th behind Quiet Side. We're going to see Quiet Side a little bit later on the card make her long-awaited return when she is in the featured Raven Run Stakes. So Necessity, the 4, my top choice here in race number 4. The 9, Golden Gamble, though, I think one to keep an eye on in here. So let's take a look at all the picks and the handicappers for race number 4. I've got this race lined up 4, 9, 5, and 1 are the ones that I'm going to be in on. The 4, Necessity, top choice in here for Scott, Tom, and myself. Kim's on the island with number 2 in here, Eunomia. Eunomia, her top choice coming from off the pace. A horse running back second time at the meet was here October 3rd in a Keeneland turf allowance, now going to the dirt. Again, 1 16th on the dirt here in race number 4. The 9, Golden Gamble, one that's working really well. Second start off the layoff, and the workouts are really sharp for Kenny McPeak's sense. You worry about a horse when they come back off a long layoff. The January to September run, she had been in the Silver Bullet Day Stakes down at Fairgrounds. She comes back and runs that race race and runs a pretty hard race and a good race September 6th. And you wonder what we're going to get out of this filly out of that race. Will she move forward? Will she bounce off of it? Look at the workout tab on horses who have that one race since the layoff. Did they get back to the workout tab in about 2 weeks? Have they trained regularly since? If they have, then that means they got something out of that race and they're moving forward. That's what it looks like on paper with Golden Gamble. She was back on 15 days firing a bullet here at Keeneland. She's had 3 works since, the most recent 47 and change. Jose Ortiz rides, replacing the injured Brian Hernandez. Word from Brian is he's going to try to get back by the end of the meet here. It'd be very interesting to see if he can pull that off after suffering 7 broken ribs and some problems with the lungs and the kidneys and just a rough go and a spill at Churchill just a few weeks ago. Brian Hernandez Jr. trying to battle back and get back in the saddle. His deputy will be Jose Ortiz riding here on his regular mount, Golden Gamble. 4, 9, 5, and 1, the way I'm going to line them up in race number 4. Key play on the card there for me in race number 4. I think Necessity, a solid single when you're looking at the multi-race wagers. I think she's in a really good spot here for Norm Cassie. So I'm going to put her on top, 9, 5, and 1 underneath. But in the multi-race plays, we're going to try to get in and out of that race number 4 with her as a key play. To the 5th we go, and it's the pick 6 starter here, and also the start to the Keeneland Turf pick 3. 5.5 furlong turf sprint in this one. We've got a field of 10. This is an allowance race, but by any measure, it's a stakes race. We already saw Script earlier this meet in the Woodford Stakes, the big turf sprint stakes of the meet, run a good second in that race to Kadim. Script is back on short rest in 2 weeks. And on the outside of the field is No Balls, the horse who 2 years ago won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. He's obviously not as good at 6 as he was at 4, or he'd be out at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. He'd be in the Stakes Company right now, but he's making his first drop into an allowance race since doing that back in May at Churchill, and that was really a course correction for him. He found company that he was a little more ready to run with at this age of 6 and blew him away in allowance company. He's back in allowance company now. No Balls getting a chance to see him. We haven't seen him at Keeneland since running in the Woodford back last year, this time of the meet last year when he was the beaten favorite in there. So he hasn't been back to his Breeders' Cup sprint form, but he's certainly very, very strong at the allowance level here. I think you got to watch the 2 with the class. You got to watch the 10 with the class, but I'm going to go with number 7, Determined Kingdom, as my top pick in this particular spot. And as we look at the handicappers across the way in race number 5, this is one where 4 handicappers have 4 different horses on top. A lot of what we talked about, Tom's got Script on top, No Balls picked on top by Kim. I'm going Determined Kingdom. The other one I want to mention is the one Wendelson. That's Scott's top choice. We'll get to Wendelson in just a second. But as for my top pick in here, Determined Kingdom, the last time this horse showed up in an allowance race at Keeneland last October, 4th level allowance, ran a career-high 99 buyer, just blew him away, pulling away in the stretch by 2.5, which is a big margin in a turf sprint. I think this horse is a horse for course potential. Mike Trombetta, one of the better turf sprint trainers out there. He gets a Luis Saez to ride. Give me Determined Kingdom back at Keeneland. Some of these horses from Colonial have run pretty decently at the meet. Others haven't fit as well. I think these kind of turf horses, turf sprint types, the Mid-Atlantic is very competitive turf sprint racing. Monmouth, Maryland, Colonial. I think those are the kind of horses that would fit fine here. And I think Determined Kingdom will. So give me the 7 on top in here. A little note about the one Wendelson by Mendelson. This is the first time this horse will try the turf here at Keeneland, over 3 on the turf overall. Mendelson's a very good turf sire here at Keeneland, and his horses tend to really run well over the track. Wendelson hasn't run since March, has been running on the dirt at Oaklawn. The form is outstanding, no question. Won a stakes race at Oaklawn and restricted company back in March. But Chris Hartman's barn has been ice cold in the last several months, as Marcus Hirsch from the Racing Forum pointed out recently, if you saw that post on X. So I'm going to make Wendelson beat me in a spot like this where turf not the preferred surface, but bred to like it. You got Irad, turf sprint. Should be some inside speed in there if this horse takes to the grass. Wendelson probably to the front, into the Sunrise, probably shows speed in here. I don't think Determined Kingdom's going to be very far off of it either. And when No Balls runs his best races, he's usually up into the mix. So there's fair enough pace in here to make it pretty snappy on the front end. If you're going to find a horse to close in here, it is probably Script 2 from Off the Pace as the one to watch coming late in the go. So 7, 10, and 2 in what is really an unofficial stakes race on the undercard. We get to one of our official stakes races next up, though. Race number 6 is going to be the Perryville Stakes. 3-year-olds here for a purse of $350,000, 7 furlong sprint. Field of 5 in here. The field size is disappointing, obviously. We started with 6. Gaming the 1 is going to scratch. So last year's Del Mar Futurity winner is going to stay on the West Coast. Scott Hazelton reported that he talked to Bob Baffert. They're going to run in the Tokyo City Stakes, which is a mile race on the Breeders' Cup week undercard. So I think we're going to look at gaming out there to stay to the West Coast. Field of 5 remains, but there is no fluff in this field. Taylor's Version, a very well-bred up-and-comer who's won, 2 of her last 3 starts. Barnes, who was once the favorite for the Kentucky Derby back in January, February, March, in that time frame, everybody was raving about Barnes. Owen Almighty, the Tampa Bay Derby winner, who was battling on the front end of the Bluegrass, ended up finishing 5th in the Kentucky Derby. He's back in this spot. Captain Cook comes off a big effort last time out in the Grade 1 Jerkins at Saratoga. Fabulous runner there. And Rolando on the outside, 2 starts back, was a stakes winner. We saw him in the Lafayette here in the spring at Keeneland, and he ran a pretty good one there, pressing the pace that day before fading to finish 4th. Rolando certainly by Vacoma, and Fausto Gutierrez, plenty to like there. So field of 5, there are some options in this particular spot. A lot of people are going to come back to Captain Cook and Barnes off their last race. Let's go back to that race, the Jerkins, and see it was an excellent effort by really all 3 of the top 3 finishers. Patch Adams is going to get the victory. Let's go back to Saratoga and take a look at the Jerkins.
As Captain Cook now puts his head in front at the top of the stretch. Midland Money is fighting back. Patch Adams coming through along the inside. Barnes is coming alive, 1 from the outside, and Matticat Road, there's 1 furlong left. Captain Cook, Patch Adams, Captain Cook, Patch Adams, and Barnes on the outside. Patch Adams gradually getting to Captain Cook. They're head and head coming for the wire. Here it is. Patch Adams prevails. Defeated.
Now, when you watch a race that's that hard and contested like that, you worry about the horses bouncing coming out of the race. Barnes did. They sent him to Parks in the Gallant Bob Stakes since then, and he didn't get out of the gate, and he was kind of lethargic and then kind of got going at the end to finish 4th in a disappointing effort for Bob Baffert. This horse was 40 cents on the dollar, 2 to 5 odds. So he did bounce, I think, coming out of that race. Now, you had more break for Captain Cook, though, so the timing given by Todd Pletcher, trainer of Captain Cook, will probably do him some good here. He's had more rest since that hard taxing effort that we just saw in the Grade 1 Jerkin. So in the head-to-head with Captain Cook and Barnes, the 2-3 finishers out of that race at Saratoga, I think the advantage really is Captain Cook's here because he's had the more time to kind of get back into the gear, and actually with the Practical Joke and his pedigree, both of these horses will be making first starts over the racetrack. Certainly Barnes by Into Mischief. The Into Mischiefs have a large number of wins here at Keeneland, but by percentage, the Practical Jokes have been outstanding. I would suspect that Captain Cook's going to run really well over this racetrack. But the one I'm going to go with here, I'm going to take a shot with Owen Almighty. I've liked this horse all along. He was a really good sprinter last year as a 2-year-old. He won the Tampa Bay Derby in a big time and mile and a 16th. They kept pressing on to the Bluegrass. He ran great up to about the 8th pole, 16th pole in the Bluegrass before he gave it up. Kentucky Derby ran a really good 5th. He led the Kentucky Derby in upper stretch. I think cutting back in distance is going to serve him well. You get Luis Saez, again, king of the 7 furlong races here at Keeneland. I'm going to take my chances with Owen Almighty to win and pull a minor upset in here. He's 4-1 in the morning line. I think he'll be the 3rd choice in the wagering in this 5-horse field, but I think Taylor's Version is going to get bet too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor's Version and Owen Almighty are about the same price in here, vying for 3rd favoritism. But no doubt, I think the favorite's going to be the 5 Captain Cook. 2nd choice in here will be Barnes. I'm going with the 4, though. Owen Almighty on top. Top pick in here, Captain Cook for the others, because Tom has the scratch doors. Gaming still on the graphic, but when he scratches out, I'm sure Tom's going to slide Captain Cook up into the lead spot. Captain Cook, the horse to beat in this particular spot, but I'm going to take my shot with Owen Almighty. And just the way the race shape sets up with Taylor's Version having a lot of speed, Rolando with a lot of speed, and Captain Cook with a lot of speed, I think Owen Almighty, out with the route endurance now, can get the victory here at 7 furlongs. And I put Barnes 2nd in the exacta because I expect a closer, a horse to be passing horses, to get 2nd in this particular spot. I do think the most likely winner of the race is Captain Cook, but I think the value play for sure is Owen Almighty. And the horse who can close and get 2nd in here from an exacta standpoint, it does kind of set up nicely for Barnes to kind of make that kind of run, unless he just bounces to the moon again with another trip to the East Coast. So I'm going to take him 4, 3, and 5 in here. I would use all 3 horses, though. if playing a multi-race wager. For sure, at least Owen Almighty and Captain Cook. I could get away with not using Barnes in here. 4-5 on top in the multi-race wagers here in race number 6. And, of course, this race, the Perryville race number 6, is going to kick off the late pick 5. So let's go too deep in that particular spot. I think Barnes will pass horses in here. I don't think he's going to pass all of them, though. Maybe could be the bottom of the exacta. Let's go to race number 7 next up on the program. Race number 7 here is another 2-year-old maiden special going 6 furlongs. So we talked about this back earlier on the card. I think the split division of this was race 2 or 3. And that 6 furlong race, we talked about how the first-time starters and the horses from Churchill are the way you want to lean in these particular spots. Well, the horse from Churchill in this one is Solemn Vow. Coming out of the same race, we took Glam Slam on top in race number 3. Solemn Vow comes out of the same race, finished ahead behind that runner last time out. So watch what happens in race 3. If Glam Slam runs a good race, that's going to solidify the form and make you more confident of the race Solemn Vow ran. If Glam Slam doesn't run very well and there's no big excuse, stumble at the start, traffic, something like that. But if Glam Slam is just outrun by a bunch of first-time starters in race number 3, then maybe we look at this race that Solemn Vow comes out of on September 11 and think maybe it wasn't that good. We'll find out. It was, again, the faster division of 2 6-furlong maiden specials on the card by 0.31 seconds, a good solid, almost 2 lengths faster. So I think the 8 Solemn Vow comes out of a good race. That's going to be my top choice in here. And I think what's interesting in here is Tyler Gaffleone rides the 8 Solemn Vow. There's a Brendan Walsh Godolphin runner in here, and they normally always lock down Tyler Gaffleone. So I think that's an interesting pairing that Gaffleone's going to stay with the 8 Solemn Vow. I'm going to follow him along to that Al Stall trainee. So that's my top choice, number 8 in this particular spot. The 4 Glow of a Rose, first-time starter for Wesley Ward by Vacoma. Fast worker, top pick in here for both Scott and Kim. So we'll see. When the Wesleys are hot as first-time starters, they're usually going to get bet. So let's see what the public does in the tote with that runner and the 4 here in race number 7. Hot Gossip, the 5, another first-time starter. This one for trainer Brad Cox. That one's the top pick in here for Tom. We've got some pedigree notes about some of these horses in the race. Number 2, Stay in Tune. Steve Asmussen trains. This one is a half to a debut winner, Sharp Time. And, Asmussen's won similar races like this at Keeneland in the fall. These 6 furlong 2-year-old maiden specials. We talked about that. He's got second most wins in these kind of races behind Brad Cox. Cox has the 5 Hot Gossip. Asmussen also has the 12 in here, Majestic Moon. This is one who's really well bred. This is a half to 8 rings. So this is a really well bred runner. 8 rings, was a debut winner, won the Grade 1 American Pharoah as a 2-year-old. 12 Majestic Moon for Steve Asmussen. Could be ready to go right out of the box, working faster than expected for most Steve Asmussens. You don't train that hard. So keep an eye on number 12, Mystic Moon at 12-1 in the morning line. Some good options in this race. 8, 12, 2, 4, and 1 are all ones that I've got lined up in here as possibilities if you're looking at the multi-race wagers. Again, if we can get through in race number 6, just too deep in there, maybe you're going to go ahead and single with Captain Cook if you like Captain Cook stronger. Then you could get a little more depth in playing the late pick 5 here. But I think there are good options in here to go after in race number 7. So check out the tote again for a late pick 4 play. You'll get to see the horses in the paddock. And since we have a situation where we've got, such an important 2-year-old race in race number 7, where there's not many past performance running lines in the 7th race, maybe you want to wait and not play the late pick 5 unless you have a good opinion, on one of these races, one of these horses in the 7th race. If you want to see the horses in the paddock, in the warm up, get more commentary on them, and try to see what's going on in the tote board, the late pick 4 might be your better play instead of playing the late pick 5. Because if you play the late pick 5 on the Saturday card, that race is kind of blind to you in those elements, right? You don't get to get the visual clues. You don't get to use the tote clues. You don't get any additional interviews or anything like that might be able to help you in your handicapping. So unless you have a stronger opinion on paper, watching workout videos or a workout report or something like that on the field in the 7th race, late pick 4 might be your better way to go than the late pick 5 on this Saturday card. Let's go next to the 8th race on the program. We're back to the turf here. Keeneland Turf Pick 3, second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, and I've got my third and final key play on the program coming up in this one. It's number 10, Multitask. Multitask is a horse who, a couple starts back, going the turf mile distance, was a rallying winner with a good 96 brisk late pace figure. I think there is a solid pace lining up in this race, so I am looking for closers. I think I've identified 4 closers in this race that I think can be effective. Number 10, Multitask. Number 6, Green Light. Number 11, 911 Turbo. And number 4, Eye on Rye. I think this race is going to come back. I think there's too much speed in here. So I've got my eye on 4 closers, 10, 6, 11, and 4. And as I look across in race number 8, there's not a lot of love for any of those horses across the way. So I think we can get fair prices. That's why it's one of my key plays on the card. Multitask is 12-1 in the morning line. 911 Turbo 6, Green Light 6, and Eye on Rye is 15. 10 Multitask is the one I prefer out of here, dropping out of the Tappet Stakes. A consistent runner at the allowance level prior. Lagados ran through the wind that day at Kentucky Downs, came back and almost won a second stakes race at the meet a couple days later. I think Multitask comes out of a really hard race. This will be a much easier spot. So Multitask is my key of this group. And then the 6, 11, and 4. I'm going to try to get 2 closers, both to get by. So 10 with the 6, 11, 4, and then 6, 11, 4 with the 10. And then if you want to work in some tries and supers and things like that, using those combinations. I'm going to key in on the 10. I got to make sure the 10 gets to be part of it in here. And that's the one I prefer the most out of this group. The 10, but 6, 11, 4, all at nice prices. The 6 Green Light for Rudy Brisset, again, a guy who has had some success here during week 3 of the meet. And the 6 Green Lights had 2 starts at Keeneland, a win and a second. 6-1 in the morning line. Again, I think there's a hot pace in this race. It sets up for the closers, and the closers I like are all nice prices. This, to me, is the best betting race, hands down, on the card. If we can do some damage in race number 8, it's almost like the other ones won't matter so much, because that's where I'm going to have the strongest amount of my attention on that race in terms of, the betting and the budgeting. I want to put the most attention on that in race number 8, and also the potential for the payoffs. Big field size. We're against the favorites, and all the horses we like who get the pace advantage in here with the late run are all nice prices potentially based on the morning line. So really excited about race number 8 here on the Saturday card. To the 9th we go, the Raven Run Stakes, 7 furlong sprint. Yeah, we're 2 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup, but never say never. Shamrock Rose won this race as a 3-year-old filly a couple years ago, then showed back up in the Breeders' Cup and won that at a big number. I don't know if any of the fillies in this particular race are going to want to go to the Breeders' Cup on short notice, but if they win on Saturday, they've got till Monday to decide. Pre-entry day for the Breeders' Cup. You've got to have your pre-entry payments in on Monday. Then they'll be announced to the public on Wednesday, with all the fields and past performances for the pre-entries of the Breeders' Cup will come out on Wednesday. So it's never too late coming out of the Raven Run. You'll have 48 hours after the race to decide whether or not they want to go Breeders' Cup bound. Who do we like in this particular spot? Well, we've already seen her once at the meet. She's running back a second time. I'm going with Vodka with a Twist in this spot. I think we're going to get a nice price on this filly. She comes out of racing against Elders, where she was 8-1 in the TCA Stakes. That was a race won by the 3-year-old filly Praying. Vava and Zeitlos behind her. We know what kind of quality they are in the older filly and mare ranks. They're not as sharp as they once were, but they're still pretty darn good. Now that she gets back in against straight 3-year-olds, I think Vodka with a Twist has a chance to run a good one in here. I know her record at Keeneland looks like it's not good. 2 starts, nothing behind it. But the first one was at 21-1 in a baby dash back here in 2024 for a low percentage barn. She actually ran pretty well to get beat 2 lengths. And then the other start was getting beat 2 lengths in the TCA Stakes, taking on Elders. So she's actually run quite well in 2 starts at Keeneland, even though the record might not indicate so. Vodka with the Twist will be ridden by Luis Saez. I love the jockey change back here, the top 7 furlong pilot. I've got Saez potentially sweeping the 7 furlong stakes races on the Keeneland card. So let's see if we can't get that pulled off. A fair number for sure to be found on Vodka with the Twist, because there are a lot of really good options in this race. Usha's the top choice in here for Tom and Scott. Usha comes in from California for Bob Baffert. She is 9-2 in Nick's morning line. She didn't do much to start her career, started off 0-4, but man, has she gotten good at Del Mar this year. Since coming back, she didn't do much at 2, but as a 3-year-old, this daughter of Tiz the Law, romped in her first start of the year, romped in her second start at Del Mar. Her last 2 wins by almost 17 combined lengths. we'll see what she beat in those races. But the Californians have been running pretty darn well in recent days here. We saw another one for Bob Hess win today. Do not discount that Delmar form coming here to Keeneland. Usha certainly has to be respected in here. Ragtime, the 9, comes off a win in the Dogwood Stakes last time out. 2 1/4 lengths clear of Strong State, Delightful Claire, other horses who are back in this particular spot. So a deep field in here. Ragtime, can she repeat right back? It was 7 furlongs at Churchill. Same kind of configuration here. She's only a neck away from being undefeated. So there's nothing on the resume that tells you that Ragtime couldn't wheel right back and win this race. She's 3-1. She's the morning line favorite in here. The 11 Quiet Side, 4-1 in the morning line. What a set of credentials she has, winning the Fantasy and the Honeybee. Last year, she was so good. 3rd in the Alcibiades, 2nd in the Spinaway. But she hasn't run since May, since the Kentucky Oaks. We haven't seen layoff fillies have a lot of success in this race in recent years. So at 4-1, I don't know if I could take Quiet Side at a short price in here. I put her down no better than 4th in the pecking order. And I think there's some other options in there that you might even improve chances than what she has. But 12, 9, and 8 are absolutely part of all of my wagers in this particular spot. Ragtime, again, second choice for Tom, third choice for Scott, and the top pick for Kim. So a lot of love in there for the 9 Ragtime, a lot of respect. Usha, a lot of respect. Everybody's got her in there. So 8, 9 are a part of everything. Who else do you want to mix in with those two who are the main hammerheads in this race? And to me, it's Vodka with a Twist. I think coming back against the 3-year-olds will be a boon for her. She's run on some short rest in the past and run fairly effectively. So her career debut was April 24th. She came back in her second race, May 17th at Churchill Downs. That was barely 3 weeks apart. She's coming back on 2 weeks. She won that race on 3 weeks rest in her first and second start. So Vodka with a Twist, she's pretty heavily raced as it is. I mean, 12 starts by the end of the 3-year-old campaign. She's one of the more heavily raced horses, if not the most heavily raced horse in this field, her and Almond Joy. So she could take a little racing, that's for sure. Phil D'Amato's got her back here again. I'm taking a 12, Vodka with a Twist in the featured Raven Run. Let's move on now to the 10th and final on the program. We're back to maiden special 2-year-olds here, but this is a turf mile. We haven't seen a lot of these at the meet, but if you remember back early in the meet when we talked about these 2-year-old turfers going long here at Keeneland in the maiden ranks, Longshot Havens, 9-1 average price. The average price in these horses, or the average winner in these races, is paid $20 for the $2 mutuals. So don't be afraid to stretch a little bit here, to spread, to expand what you might be looking at. Favorites are only 27 for 89. They slightly underperform. But again, that big 9-1 average, we have seen some big boxcar winners in these races. Kentucky Downs has produced 25 of the 89 winners. Fairly even distribution because 16 came from New York, 14 from Churchill, 17 have been first-time starters. So first-time starters win a little over 20% of these races at a mile. So certainly experience is some advantage in here, but it's not beyond a first-time starter to pick up a victory. They'll win about 1 in 5 of these. Number 7, Backgammon, one to watch in here, 7-2 in the morning line. Certainly not anything price-wise in that regard, but probably the most likely winner for trainer Mark Cassey. Cassie's had success with these 2-year-old going long on the turf over the years. He's won 4 of them in maiden special company here. This horse comes out of the Kentucky Downs route race last time out. Third in that effort, has had 4 chances. I'm not wild about the pick in here, and I kind of want to see a little bit of the horses in the paddock and the warm-up and try to decide on something. When we're looking at multi-race wagers late in the day, I think you definitely want to get some coverage in this race because, like we said, the average winner in these races is 9-1. So if we can narrow down in some other spots, this is a race I think you probably want to spread some in. 7, the 8, Shames the Brains, is 9-2 in the morning line. Coming off a race at Kentucky Downs, pretty similar in form to Backgammon. If you like the 7, the 8, they kind of look, pretty similar in talent in this particular spot. First-time starter number 1, Patron Silver, is 4-1 in the morning line. Kenny McPeak trains there. It's a War of Will filly making the career debut off a couple nice workouts, and Jose Ortiz will ride from the inside. We'll try to find some long shots, but really on pedigree and connections and stats, I really wasn't able to unearth anything in here. So I want to kind of watch the horses and see if we can't get some visual clues. That's not going to help us for the multi-race wagers. So in the multi-race wagers, it's almost, boy, if you could buy this race, it's 50 cents for a late pick 4, 50 cents for a late pick 5. If you could buy this race and have your opinions somewhere else, that might be the best way to go. Because again, these are traditionally races that produce long shots, but I'm not seeing it on paper. Hopefully we can see it with our eyes pre-race. It's not going to help us in the multi-race bets, but when we're trying to make a bet intra-race, keep an eye on the horses in the warm-up in the paddock and see if somebody doesn't tip themselves in race number 10, the finale on the Saturday card. That's going to wrap up the handicapping for Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow night with a preview of the Sunday card. Dowager Stakes coming up on Sunday, so be sure to join us for that. Tomorrow, after scratches and changes are announced, somewhere in the 11 o'clock hour, noon hour, I'll have an update for you on social media at X for the at Keeneland Racing feed and at Horse Player Now to give you my final thoughts on the card going into what is expected to be a very warm Saturday. Temperatures 84 degrees in the forecast. Again, record high for this date in Lexington, Kentucky is 87 degrees. So really unseasonably warm conditions. We'll be back tomorrow night to recap it all. Pick six carryover, 37,000 plus going in to the final six on the card. That will start in race number 5, where we get 2 years ago's Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, No Balls in action to kick off the pick six. For updated handicapping information, be sure to sign up for my Substack, free publishing software there, jeremyplonk.substack.com, and I'll send you updated analysis every day of the Keeneland meet, and we'll also have some handicapping picks and analysis for races around the country, as well as Breeders' Cup coming up. Make sure you sign up for the Substack to get all that good stuff. On behalf of everybody with Keeneland, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.